Hello there, Lester Yanovich here for another edition of Wednesday's Wonder. Today's wonder occurred to me recently when I was talking with this young lad, and he was telling me all about this social distancing thing and having to remain at home with his wife and children. And he said, it feels like a living hell. Well, that made me think, living hell, you say. Have you ever wondered what it might be like to sit down and maybe have a brew or two with the devil? Well, coincidentally enough, such a thing occurred to me. And if you'll give me a few moments, it's quite long, but I'll tell you a story all about it. Really, what the hell else do you have to do right now? Watch CNN? But anyway, it all happened several months ago. I think it was just before Christmas. It was a blistering cold night, very frigid outside. But I thought to myself, well, I'm going to go down to the favorite pub down there and, get out of the house for a little bit and chat with some of my cronies about world affairs and things, very important things that we discussed down there. So I marched on down, and the moment I walked in, I realized it's sweltering hot in this place, and there's this ear-piercing noise all about the place. So I took and hung my coat up and looked around and looked down, and there was this young lad named Johnny, and he was sitting with a new fellow I'd never seen before. And they were playing the fiddle, of all things, playing the fiddle right there in the hub pub. But the most disturbing thing to me was this new fella, he was sitting in my stool. Well, I immediately looked over to the pub master who's supposed to control things like this, and he just shrugged his arms and shook his head and kind of mouthed off, "What the hell?" Well, I looked back over here too, and there was Johnny, and he had that "oh shit, there's Lester" look on his face, and immediately stopped what he was doing and limbered off to the back of the room somewhere. Well, I immediately went down and thought, no, let's not be contentious here. This fella's new. Let's give him, benefit of the doubt and such. So I walked over to him and very politely extended my hand and said, "Hello there. My name is Lester Yanovich, and obviously you're new to this establishment and perhaps don't know the rules and such." Said, "However, they're plainly posted on the wall right there, and the first rule is you don't sit in Lester's stool." Well, he gave me some impish little grin and such, and he said, "Well, I understand that, and I've heard quite a bit about you, and I was just, shall we say, warming it up for you." He politely got up and stood in the next stool next to me. So we shared a brew or two there at first, and I looked at him and I said, "So, once again, my name is Lester Yanovich, and you, my friend, are..." And he paused for a moment, and he says, "My name is Lucifer." "Well, pleasure to meet you, Mr. Cipher. What is it that brings you out and about on such a cold, blistering night?" "Well," he says, "well, you see, I like to get out and network so that I can, I'm a collector of sorts. And I network and I procure my collection that way." "Oh, how interesting," I thought. "Collector, you say. What is it you collect?" And he looked at me and he goes, "Well, I collect souls." "Souls? What do you have some sort of foot fetish, or perhaps you really enjoy Motown music? I understand that. You collect souls." Well, all of a sudden he stood up and the room turned completely dark. And all of a sudden he looks at me and he says, "No, I collect souls." And as he did, there was this incandescent glow about his eyes, and he looked mesmerizingly into my own eyes and says, "Souls, I collect souls." Well, I immediately slapped him upside the head. I said, "Tone it down, my good man. Good God, don't be so damn dramatic. You're scaring the hell out of these lads in here, and turn the damn lights on, for God's sakes." Well, he rummaged about a little bit and collected himself and had a seat and he apologized. He said, "I'm sorry, I just get so excited and, talking to people of your sort and such." And I said, "Oh, it's okay." And then I said, "So what you're telling me, from what I gather, is that you're the devil?" "Yes, I am the devil," he says. "Well, pleasure to meet you, Lucifer." Yes, thank you." And I said, "Well, I'll play along with this. These souls you collect, how is it you actually procure them?" I said, "Well, to be quite honest, most of them are given to me freely. There are some people that spend their whole lives trying to get me to collect their souls, and I do eventually collect their souls. But there's some, like yourself, that are a bit more stubborn about that, and I have to procure them in other ways. He says, and you, my friend, you have a very luscious soul that I would very proudly display on my mantle. And I do have quite a spectacular fireplace. Yeah, I've heard all about that, I told him, but let's not be pretentious here. Tell me more about this soul gathering thing. What is it you do to actually procure these things? Of people of my sort, shall we say. He says, well, he says, your particular species, they're very easily tempted. And I, as you know, have the authority to grant temptations to people. I said, yeah, well, what kind of things do you grant? He goes, well, for example, I can grant you fame, I can grant you wealth, or perhaps women, if that's your thing. Oh, well, I'm sorry, my friend, but I don't believe we're going to have a deal today, because, you see, when it comes to fame, well, I'm quite famous in my own right. I mean, quite frankly, everybody here knows of me, and I do some other things that people know well about me. So fame is out of the question. And wealth, well, I'm retired now, as you very well must know, and I had the foresight to marry a younger woman, and quite frankly, she's got 25, maybe 30 years of gainful employment that'll carry me quite through my golden years. And women, well, as I mentioned before, I'm very happily married, and if I were to stray, so to speak, well, you'd be free to have my soul with no problem. The only thing is you would have to pick it up on the side of the road. It would be like putting together a 10,000-piece puzzle by the time my wife were finished with me. So I guess we just need to agree to disagree and move on with our conversation. And he goes, no, don't be so rash. He goes, surely, there must be something that you would like, that I could give you and have your soul at a later date, of course. So I thought about it for a minute, and I said, well, I'll play this game with you. And I took my glass as if it were a chess piece, and I put it in front of him. I said, I'll tell you what, I'll relinquish my soul at a later date if you can grant me immortality. Well, he just smiled and put the glass right back in front of me. Immortality it is, he says. I'll get the papers out right now. I said, whoa, slow down. I mean, surely, you seem like a relatively intelligent entity and all. Surely you must know that if you grant me immortality, there's no way that you can collect on your investment. Well, he smiled, almost chuckled a little bit before he says, well, you're a bit naive. I do have my ways. I said, well, now I'm intrigued. Tell me about these ways. Well, I don't like to give out my trade secrets, but it appears that you and I are somewhat kindred spirits, so I'll let you in on a few things. So he goes, immortality, for example. Then he reaches down into his briefcase and he pulls out a piece of paper and he looks at it briefly and he says, it says here that you're not scheduled to get on the train for many, many years to come. Well, that's a good thing, I thought. He said, oh, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I'm a very patient man. He goes, however, I can grant you immortality, but I can put a clause in there that it does not become effective until you're well into your 90s. That way, you'll go through eternity as a 90-year-old, decrepit old coot. Well, I said, no problem there. Give me the paper. I'll sign it right away. And he looked a bit puzzled. Oh, well, really? I said, yes. The thing you don't understand, my friend, is that I don't age. You see this face and this magnificent physique that I have? I looked like this when I was 21 years old, and I expect I'll look like this well into my 90s, so I'll be happy to take eternity on that. He goes, oh, hold on just a minute. There are other things. He says, now you, Lester, you're a very handsome man. I'm sure that you have always enjoyed the comfort of the ladies, shall we say. Well, I giggled a little bit and I said, I don't like to talk of my personal life, but yes, when I was prior to marriage and all, I was known to be quite a stud. And since then, since I'm married now, well, let's just say that my wife loves to whistle Dixie quite frequently, if you know what I mean. So I think I can handle that. Oh, he says, oh, okay. But let's talk about this, for example. He goes, you like to share the comfort of the women, and let's say that every time you do share that comfort, you'll procreate a child. Oh, I said, that could be a problem. That there would be a living hell on its own. Precisely, he says, a living hell. Oh, give me a moment. And I thought about it, and I thought, okay, here we go. I'll turn gay. There you go. I'll be a gay man. What the heck? I can be as gay as the rest. Flame me around. Ha ha ha, flame. I can't procreate if I'm gay now, can I? Well, he chuckled again and put the glass right back in front of my face. He goes, well, listen to this. You see your young lad over there, Johnny. Have you ever noticed how he, too, fancies the boys? Oh, well, yeah, we've all chuckled about that a few times. He goes, well, I met with him just a few years back, and we came to some terms and such, and he chose your particular strategy. Oh, did he now? Yes. And he goes, and he has a lavish lust for any male creature, be it man or animal. He lusts them completely. I said, well, what's the problem with that? And he goes, well, he only has one problem. Shall we call it a growing problem? Oh, yes, I see where you're coming from on that. So, game on. Tell you what, give me the paper and hand me a pen. I will sign it right here and now. He goes, oh, really, will you? Well, let's see. And I said, on one condition. Oh, what's that condition? I said, well, you know, every Wednesday, I do something called Lester's Wednesday's Wonders. Surely you've heard about it. And, oh, yes, I believe I have. And I said, well, have you subscribed? He goes, well, I've been a bit busy and all. I've been planning to get around to it and all. I think, no matter. But I tell you what, you grant me immortality, and the condition being that whenever I do a Wednesday's Wonder, you, on the other hand, will grant me at least a minimum of 10 views on that Wednesday's Wonder. Well, all of a sudden, I swear to God, the gate of hell just fucking opened up completely with a thunderous roar, and as his jaw dropped completely to the floor, and he turned a pale white, a white I've never seen in my life, and his eyes rolled back in his head as he started stampering around and dancing and screaming, are you fucking insane? Are you crazy? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Not even I can do that. Nobody can do that. And he started stampering out the door, and I said, hey, hold on, you forgot your fiddle. Well, he turned around and he looked at me and he said, you can go straight to heaven as far as I'm concerned. Let God deal with your sorry ass. And then he walked out the door, and I tried to tell him, look, the offer's still on the table if you ever change your mind. Well, that, I guess, was the end of our conversation, but I will say before I leave that if you ever view one of my Wednesday's Wonders and you notice that I have more than, say, 10, 12 views, you'll know that I'm going to be around for a very long time. Until then, I'll see you next week for another edition of Wednesday's Wonders. I wonder what that'll be.